Hello and namaste, this is Tim Hallern and this is a weekly astrology forecast. This is for the second week of the highly energized and fast-paced month of September. So what do we got going on this week and what do we got going on for this month? I'll quickly go through some of the short-term aspects that are going through this week, and then I'll get to the more juicy story of the aspects that are going on this month. And we are getting a lot of choices, we are getting a lot of decisions right now. And how we implement our will and where we decide to make our work has a lot to do with the future that we are creating for ourselves. So what's going on right now? Well, yesterday we had Mars square Saturn exact, and that's going to be fading out through the next couple days. This is an aspect which carries with it a lot of responsibility, a lot of work. There can be some frustration as we are maybe forced to get down and do some business that we didn't exactly want to do or had put off for a while, or maybe we forgot about. But at the same time, it is a good time to be getting a lot of work done. We can think very seriously and we can channel our will very practically into our work. Now Mars is very strong this week, so it has a lot to do with channeling our will and performing work this week. Now Mars is also square to the North Node today, which is making these challenges and putting obstructions in our path as far as where we need to be going. But these challenges are also encouraging us to build up our own inner strength and our own warrior energy to be able to plow through these challenges. Because there are a lot of challenges at hand, but we are also feeling very strong and powerful during this time with a strong Mars. We have a strong will, we have a lot of energy. So we have a couple planets shifting signs this week. Yesterday Mercury entered Libra, and today Venus enters Scorpio around 11 p.m. So Mercury in Libra means that for the next couple weeks we'll be discussing amongst our peers, we'll be able to channel our verbal thoughts very clearly through conversation, and we'll be getting into groups and sharing our ideas and building ideas off of one another. And now Venus entering Scorpio today is leading us and the inner planets into Scorpio. She's the first one to enter, and this is our relationship starting to get a little bit more intimate, and this is going to encourage us to start getting a little ahead into the area of Scorpio that will be coming next month. We will be getting a little bit more deeper and a little bit more intimate within our own relationships and with our greater relationships in the world at large. Now the final short-term aspect I wanted to quickly discuss this week is we have a grand kite formation forming this weekend, Saturday around midnight into Sunday, and this is between Mercury, Uranus, Pluto, and Lilith. So Mercury in Libra is going to come around and oppose that Uranus in Aries, which is then T-squaring Lilith in Capricorn. Now, Uranus in Aries opposing to Mercury in Libra, we have a lot of brilliant ideas and we have a lot of beauty in our minds as far as our goals, as far as what we want. Mercury in Libra is looking for the aesthetic in things, and opposing to Uranus, we are getting supercharged with electricity to make changes to our lives in order to create that beauty. And there is some tension there, especially when it's T-squared to Pluto opposite Lilith, which is the changing of the old paradigm. And we're discovering all of the old darkness and wounds that have been previously unconscious, and now we're coming aware of these problems and these challenges and how to resolve them. And another way I can see this dynamic playing out is it's like Pluto opposite Lilith is we're feeling a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotional tumultuousness. There's a lot of suppressed anger and guilt and shame. And they're so subconscious sometimes that we don't even really know their origins. And being squared too by Uranus and Mercury, it's like we have the mind and the goals and the ideas and the brilliance and the future. Uranus is the future and it's technology that's ahead of its time, versus the problems of this world. It is a time of a lot of people awakening, and it is a lot of time of people beginning the purge phase of their spiritual path. So when someone becomes awakened to spirituality, that means that they realize the inherent interconnectivity and oneness. They realize the spiritual world, which is perfect and which is the origin of everything in this world. But what happens is when we awaken to this realization is we simultaneously realize all of the darkness in this world. And indeed, there's a very important dynamic between the light and the dark. During this week, and especially this month, I'm talking a lot about the light and the dark so that we can start to understand the dynamic, and that way we can see that the darkness is a vital part of all of this process that we're involved in. And indeed, we need the darkness in order to realize the light. So a lot of us are purging right now. We're going into past lives, we're going into early childhood, we're discovering these old wounds, and we're moving them up to our conscious awareness. And this begins after the awakening. So the awakening, in many respects, is more painful, because as you realize the truth of reality, you simultaneously realize how much truth has been reduced in this age. And that is very, very painful when you realize that truth is almost diminished to be invisible and very well hidden in this age. And that is almost more painful than beginning to purge itself. It's like that's starting to get the ball rolling, and getting the ball rolling requires the most effort. But when you're purging, the ball is already rolling. You're starting to move the darkness out, become aware of it, and heal it. And so a lot of people are going through this purging process, and I want to shed light on this purging process as something that is extremely important and extremely necessary, and something that we should all want. We should be wanting to purge. We should not awaken and then not want to purge. Because if you awaken and then stop there and no more part of the process, if you awaken and you want to escape directly, shortcut into the spiritual world, into the bliss, into the light, and ignore all the darkness, well, that's not possible. Because there's a dynamic and there's a relationship between the light and the dark. What I'm trying to say is that as we are given an opportunity to start purging, we are going to start realizing that it is just that. An opportunity, and a very profound form of grace. It's like, so this is the analogy I want to present. When you consume a poison, and you get to the phase where you realize that you have consumed a poison and your stomach starts to get tight and feel really, really nasty, and you realize that you have to vomit it up. That is the most painful and uncomfortable part of the purging process. When you get to the point where you're actually hovering above the toilet bowl and you're emptying your guts out into the toilet, that is relieving. When you're actually to the point where you're actually vomiting, that's not scary, that's relieving, because I'm ridding of this poison and I can feel my body purging it out. It's the time period before then that is the worst. It's the anticipation of the purge that is more severe and more discomforting. And the reason I share this analogy is because we want to be moving forward. We shouldn't be afraid of purging. We shouldn't be afraid of releasing and getting all this stuff out, and oh my gosh, the poison is there and it's flowing out of me. And that is what we should be desiring. We should desire this purge and this release. And indeed what this is when you are purging, you go down into the darkness and you grab all this stuff and your stomach pushes it up, right? And you push it out. You reach in, you grab all this stuff, you push it up and you push it out. And this involves a process which is a downward, going down and scooping, which is, for many, it is a descent into hell, into the nightmare, into the past, into the torture and the prejudice and the suppression that is still here on this planet. And we reach in and we grab it and we pull it out and we project it out. And we shouldn't be afraid of this process. We should be wanting involvement in this process. And the way we can do this, which is most comfortable to us, is through incorporating the mind and the feelings. So we have this grand trine between Mercury, Uranus, Pluto, and Lilith. Pluto and Lilith are these intense feelings, this purging that's going on. It's the poison in the stomach that needs to get out. And Uranus and Aries, opposite Mercury in Libra, is heaven. It's the future. It's what I aspire to. It's what this world could be and how I envision it. And the whole point is there is some tension between these areas, but we are trying to incorporate the two together. And the way we do this is we center ourselves in our truth. Uranus is the higher truth. We center ourselves in the truth. The truth is that we are all interconnected. The truth is that we are all one, and we all do share this existence, which is fundamentally originating in love. And knowing that and being centered in our truth, we descend into the earth, which is poisoned, and we purge that poison out. And this is how we transcend hell. We keep heaven in our minds. We keep heaven in our hearts. And if we have heaven in our minds and heaven in our hearts, it doesn't matter how tumultuous the poison is in our stomach, we can transcend it. We can go into the stomach, grab all that poison and push it out, and not even be fazed in the slightest way. Because we know our truth. And we know the entire process that we are doing is a healing process. And it is an opportunity and a blessing and a gift to be able to be a part of the cleansing of the poisons of the world process that we are all very deeply getting into at this time. Okay, so Mars is very strong this week. We are strong. Be warriors. Mars is in Leo. Pallas just entered Leo. We are recognizing patterns of our own strength. We are realizing our own inner warrior. And we are channeling this will to be able to be plunging into the depths, not afraid of the darkness, not trying to ignore it. And that's the other recommendation, is we're always going up and down, right? We're happy and then we're not. We're enjoying stuff, we're not enjoying stuff. It is wise to remember when we are feeling good, when we are enjoying, when we're at the party, when we're with our friends, that is temporary enjoyment. And that we will be back and dealing with our problems soon after. It is wise to keep that in mind, even as we are enjoying, not to ruin the fun. It's not saying we should be negative all the time. It's being realistic. That way, the next time we get into our stuff and we start having the emotional struggles and the fights and the bank account problems and all this, we will have already anticipated it. And what happens is we start reducing the severity of the vibration by doing that. So that way when we get high, we don't take it so seriously. We don't think we're going to run away forever. We're still in Earth. We have to come back down sometimes. So that way when we do come back down, it's not so devastating. And we'll remember that both the up and the down is part of the process. And in doing so, we will remember what is called the middle way. The middle way is that we are always centered in the truth, which is not the same as the high of pleasurable comfort, and not the same as the low of discomfort and pain. The middle way is both. And the middle way is transcending both. And the middle way is not being attached to either, because the middle way is the core truth, which is more powerful, more deep, more beautiful, and more beyond. Both of the dualistic heaven and hell realities that we are constantly vibrating between on this planet. So let's remember when we're in heaven, when we're situated here in the comforts of the United States, that directly on the other side of the planet there are people suffering in hell. And indeed, this is a period of learning how to pray. And when we learn how to pray, we center ourselves in heaven. We move into the Garden of Eden, we think about God and the beauty of the garden and how we wish we could be there, and we allow ourselves to descend and fall into hell and feel the suffering of this planet simultaneously. That is what prayer involves. We are praying for relief of the suffering of this world while aspiring for the beauty and the triumph of the heavenly planes. We are going to have a lot of opportunities to learn this powerful form of prayer. And once we do learn how to pray truly, we will be able to transcend all things. And we won't have any more fear or worry in the world. So let's move towards that. And I'm wishing you the best this week. You can get in contact with me at our website, www.rosalitahealing.com. I'm wishing you the very, very best. Keep in touch. Until next time, namaste.